didn't understand what you are asking for.
Okay, I am asking you to introduce yourself to us. I would like to know much more about you, one by one.
Okay, so I will translate it for some of us who didn't understand English.
Okay, please do it.
أصدقائي الأعزاء، الدكتور آدم آيتن يعني بيطلب منكم أن يقوم كل واحد منكم بتقديم نفسه في جملة قصيرة، وده اللي كان موجود في آخر السلايد قبل ما يتقفل الشيرنج، ويقول لكم وكل واحد يقول ما هي تطلعاته على الكورس الذي سيقدمه. ولو حد عاوز يقول حاجة ممكن أقولها للدكتور، مفيش مشكلة. نبدأ. شوفوا مين.
سامي معلش، تطلعات بخصوص إيش كمان مرة؟
Dr. Adam, you are asking every one of us how they are thinking about the course you are introducing, right?
No. Introduce themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Please tell your name, what you do, and where are you from?
Okay. على كل واحد مننا في البداية بس يذكر اسمه وما بيعمل ايه في المجال اللي هو المختص بالاعلام بتاعنا ومن انه بلد هو. بس دي حاجه بسيطه. اتفضلوا كده كل واحد. انا هبدا. انا حتى my name is محمد سامي, so I'll start with myself.
So Sami, your name is Mohammed?
Yeah, Sami is my last name. I go with my last name.
Okay, Mohammed Sami you are.
Yeah, I'm working as a media consultant here and marketing in social media. I am from Egypt.
You are from Egypt.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, great.
مين تاني بعديه؟ اتفضلوا.
أنا ممكن أعرف بنفسي.
And Adnan Mohammed is talking.
Yes, my name is Adnan Mohammed. I'm from Haifa City, Palestine. I'm 20 years old, living at the moment in Istanbul, studying political science and international relations. In Aydın
what
University
are you studying at in Istanbul?
Aydın.
Aydın University. Okay. So yeah, actually, you know that until last year I was working at Istanbul Aydın University. So
Great.
I know the university.
You work there as a association, kind of association or teacher.
What year are you studying at Istanbul Aydın University?
Political science.
No. What year are you from?
It's the first year. Yes, the first year.
Okay, you are a freshman. Good.
Yes.
Okay, the next one, please.
Okay, I am Ahmed Ramazanoğlu.
Ahmed Ramazanoğlu.
Yeah. I am yeni vatandaşlık yani new nationality for Turkey 2 years ago. I am from Egypt. I live
you are from
Istanbul
Egypt as well. Okay.
Yeah. I live in Istanbul for last 7 years ago. I work from journalist with aljazeera.net and work with Egyptian channel in Istanbul. Vatan TV.
I see. Okay. Thanks,
Ahmed. Thanks to you.
The next one, please.
مين بعد كده يقدم نفسه؟ اتفضلوا يا جماعه.
Hi, my name is Ali Shahata.
Yeah.
I am TV. Hi, my name is Ali
Yes,
Shahata.
Ali.
I have working as TV director and filmmaker. I have collaboration with some Arabic channel TV based in Istanbul.
I see.
I have completed my university as English lecturer. No.
And, Ali, where are you from?
From Egypt.
From Egypt. Oh, I see.
Yes. Nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you. Thanks. And the next one.
يلا مين اللي بعد كده؟
Hello, السلام عليكم.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Ali. May I introduce myself?
Yeah, please.
Yes, my name is Ali Muhammad Usraf. I'm Palestinian. I'm working in Qatar as a media monitoring supervisor, media monitoring trainer, and media monitoring consultant here in many associations in Qatar.
Yes.
My original studies is civil engineering. What I'm looking for is to make my skills in the media to be more academic.
Okay, I see. So you are planning to do master and the PhD?
I'm looking for, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Tarek.
Yes. My name is Tarek Dugam. I'm 32 years old. I live in Istanbul. I work in Aram Media as a journalist and manager of social media. I'm looking to improve my skills in journalist in general and tell the people in the world what happened in Syria. I'm from Syria. I'm lost to tell you that. So that's I would like to get from this session, inshallah.
I see. Okay. I hope so.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Lahusin.
Lahusin.
I'm from Morocco. I'm working as a journalist in Italia Telegraph.
I see. So you are living in Italy?
No, right now I'm living in Morocco, Casablanca. Between
Great.
Casablanca and Rabat. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lahusin.
You're welcome, sir.
Merhaba hocam.
Hello, Gazal.
Merhaba hocam. Türkçe konuşabilir miyim?
Tabii ki.
Nasılsınız?
İyiyim, teşekkür ederim. Sen nasılsın?
İyiyim, teşekkürler.
Okay. Gazal would like to speak in Turkish.
Evet. Benim adım Gazel. Salat. Selçuk Üniversitesi gazetecilik bölümü bu seneyi bitirdim, mezun oldum. Şimdilik hiçbir iş yapmıyorum. Teşekkürler.
Gazal neredensin?
Suriyeliyim.
Okay, Gazal is a Syrian who is living in Turkey right now. She has studied journalism at one of the public university in Turkey in Mid Anatolia, Selçuk University, journalism program, and I think she is looking for a, the journalism profession right now. Thank you, Gazal.
Assalamu alaikum.
Aleykümselam. Abdülhamid.
Evet. My name is Abdulhamid Salat. Syrian journalist.
Yeah.
I have been working for 10 years in the radio and TV, television. I worked in Syria muhabir يعني بالتركية muhabir in Syria, Orient TV, and office manager in Orient TV in Hatay.
I see.
5 years.
So you are in Antakya right now or somewhere
Antakya
else?
Rihalli. Evet, Hatay. Antakya Rihalli. I worked on briefing and يعني program TV. But in 10 years I don't speak English, so it seems يعني I forgot, but it.
It's okay, no matter.
يعني 10 years I don't speak English, فبروبلم. يعني English.
احنا ان شاء الله هنحاول نترجم اول باول يا استاذ حميد، انا واخونا الاستاذ محمد
يعني
سامي.
انا عم بفهم عليه، لكن بالمحادثه صار لي 10 سنين، تعرف اللي بيقعد بتركيا الممارسه اللغه بالنهايه فصارت سيئه جدا، لكن اما بكلام الاستاذ انا فاهم عليه كل شيء تقريبا.
طيب تمام. Okay, we will help in translate ان شاء الله.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Abdülhamid.
تمام. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, Ahmet Obeid.
My name is Ahmed Ubaid. I'm from Syria. I live in Istanbul. Manager editor of Voice of the Capital website. And I study political science at Nida University.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed.
Nice.
I'm Hussein Taleb. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Hussein?
I'm Hussein Taleb from Syria. I living in Istanbul.
Yes.
I am a video editor around media network for 5 years.
I see. So you know Premiere or Final Cut or Edius?
No, editor.
Yeah. Okay, just editor, not editing videos.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
بس هو بالظبط كده.
Mr. Garib?
I'm sorry.
Okay, somebody else? We haven't met yet.
Yes, me, I think.
Shoaib Mohammed?
Yes, I'm Muhammad. I work as a video editor. I am from Egypt too.
Osama Gharib.
Yes, Shoaib, we are listening to you.
Yes, I'm Shoaib Mohammed. I'm from Egypt too. I work as a video editor. I'm living in Istanbul.
I see.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too, teacher.
Jepasi?
I think Mr. Ghaib was trying to speak, but I took the microphone from him, I guess.
We haven't met yet Al-Haji. Al-Haji, can you introduce to us? Okay, he has written here, Sporanalytic Morocco. Will somebody ask Mohammed Nas?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm Muhammad Al-Qadi. It means judge in English. Muhammad Al-Qadi from Yemen.
Okay. Muhammad Al-Ghazi, yeah.
Yes. Director and documentary filmmaker. I live in Saudi Arabia. I'm here to learn about journalism and digital media.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you very much.
And the next, who else? We haven't met Huda Barafi yet, Manar or as well, Morsi Aslan. Mustafa.
Efendim hocam, kusura bakmayın biraz geç kaldım ama zorlu bir işi dolaştığım için giremedim şeye.
Peki, bize kendini tanıtabilir misin?
Ben Mustafa Elas, Gaziantep'ten uğraşıyorum sizinle. Gaziantep'te çalışıyorum, medya sektöründe. Gazeteciyim. Farklı sitelerde yazıyorum. Arapça olarak yani ya makale falan yazıyorum.
So Mustafa, where are you from?
I'm from Syria.
Okay, Mustafa is a journalism from Syria who is reporting in Gaziantep, in southeast city of Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay, Mustafa, is there something else you want to say?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hocam. Thank you for you.
Who else? Huda, can you hear me? Could you please
Yes,
introduce?
I'm here. My name is Huda Barabi. I'm from Syria. I live in Istanbul. I'm 45 years old. So that.
What you do here?
Nothing.
Okay.
Tamam.
Thank you, Huda.
You're welcome.
And so is Manar. Manar, can you hear me?
الزملاء ممكن يتكلموا بالعربي واحنا نترجم، مفيش مشكلة. You can speak in Arabic and we can translate. Morsi at work now. He just hearing and he can't speak.
Okay.
He told me, and also Mr. Al-Haji. He is in work and he can't speak. He just hearing.
Yeah, he
us.
has written. I saw it.
Yes. Yes.
He is from Morocco.
Yes, he is from Morocco.
I'm at work. I can talk right now, but I can write. Okay. Okay. Nice to meet all you. I hope this course will help you and will be useful for you. Is there somebody else that haven't introduced yourself yet? Morsi, maybe Morsi Aslan?
Morsi at work. He can speak.
Okay,
he
he's
told
at
me.
work.
He just sent
Okay, I
me
see.
that he can
So
speak.
we will be about 20, I think, in total, huh?
Yes, till now 20.
Okay, because yeah, I am taking you know that the names list here.
Hello, Mr.
Hello.
Hello, I just attended now.
Okay, Elanot Alataibi.
Yes.
Al-Anud would like us to introduce yourself,
Introduce yourself,
Dr.
yes.
Ed.
Elanot, can't you introduce to us?
Yes, my name is Alanud Alotaibi. I'm from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
I did my master's degree in Middlesex University, London, in international business.
I see.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
عمر جيجو اسم.
Yes.
ناشط إعلامي شمال سوريا ومقيم بشمال سوريا.
Okay, Omar, you are from Syria.
Omar from Syria, and he works in as a reporter in media journalism. يعني.
Okay, I say Omar is in Turkey or in Syria?
ساكن في تركيا ولا في سوريا يا أستاذ عمر؟
لا شمال سوريا، أنا مقيم بشمال سوريا.
He is living in the north of Syria.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Omar. شكرا, Omar.
شكرا أستاذ.
Ala is common.
I think everybody introduced themselves.
Ala. عرفي نفسك.
نمت آلاء عايشة في اسطنبول.
آلاء محمد.
My name is آلاء.
Yes.
بالعربي لو عايزة يا أستاذ.
أيوه. وأنا مقيمة في اسطنبول حاليا.
She is living in Istanbul nowadays. منين يا أستاذة؟ وبتشتغلي إيه؟
من مصر.
She is from Egypt.
Okay.
مش شغالة حاليا.
She is not working now or nowadays يعني.
Okay, thank you, Ala.
أنا عندي سؤال بس.
اتفضل.
Yes, Mr. Garib.
هو أنا بس عايز أعرف هو خد اسمه ولا ما خدش اسمه، بس عشان هو بيكتب تقريبا الأسماء.
بيكتب الأسماء. أنت
بس أنا ما أعرفش
انت قدمت
لا ما
نفسك
عرفتش
ولا
نفسي، لا.
طب قدم نفسك حتى لو بالعربي واحنا موجودين، انا واستاذ محمد ممكن نترجم برضه.
طيب عايز تتكلم انجليزي مفيش مشاكل. طيب انا اسامه غريب،
زي ما تحب. اتفضل.
صحفي ومعد برامج.
نعم.
طبعا من مصر، مقيم في اسطنبول.
نعم.
مستر عمر غريب he's from Egypt living in
لا
Istanbul.
عمر، لا عمر، لا اسامه.
مستر أسامة غريب from
Yes.
Egypt, he living in Istanbul these days.
Okay.
And work in journalism.
I see. Okay, thank you for all of you for introducing yourselves. So I have a task, you know, that the first task for you actually to improve, you know, that your writing skills in English.
Hello.
I will share the task with you. Okay, yeah, here you go. Please talk. Morsi?
Evet.
Okay, we are listening to you.
Nice to you, Pandey. My name is Morsi Aslam. 45 years. عايشة في اسطنبول. معلش يا احمد ترجم عشان انا بس في الشغل ومش عارف ايه اجمع الجمل.
Okay, he is مرسي أصلا living in Istanbul. ايه تاني يا مرسي؟
اعمل كمدير تصوير في احدى القنوات هنا في اسطنبول.
Morsi working in one of the TV channels based in Istanbul. The photography director. Okay.
تمام. بس في محتاجة معلومات أكتر من كده؟
لا بس كده.
معلش بس عشان
where are you from, Morsi?
Egypt.
From
Egypt. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Manor, it is not a problem. You can write.
Manar,
yes, Manar. Manar, what are you doing and where are you from? I think when he is available, he can write to us. Okay. Actually, you know that.
Saudi Arabia. Miss Manar from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I see. So let me share my screen again. Yeah, he's from Saudi Arabia. I have a written task to you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first task, you know, that is, I am asking you to write about you, your motivations and expectations, why you attend the course, descriptively, you know, that with details by using the SWOT analysis. Any of you heard about the SWOT analysis?
Yes, we had this before.
You had this
yes, in this course.
Yes. الأستاذ بيقول إن حضراتكم محتاجين التاسك الأولاني إن أنتوا تكتبوا عن نفسكم، والحافز ليكم إن أنتوا تحضروا الكورس عن طريق السوات أناليسيز، وبيسأل إذا كنا نعرف السوات أناليسيز ولا لا، والأستاذة عنود قالت له فعلا إحنا نعرف. هو هيشرحه طبعا. Okay, I just translated.
إحنا أخذناها في التسويق الإلكتروني.
Yes.
We had it in the e-marketing.
But actually, this is gonna be. It is about you. You know, I am.
I got it.
yeah, it's about your, you know, that personal, you know, that the motivations, expectations, and yourself. The SWOT, you know, that what it means, it is the actually, you know, that the abbreviation of the words, you know, that the first letters of the word: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats. What we mean strength is the strength, you know, that the features, qualifications of you, the weaknesses of you, the opportunities for you by attending this, you know, that the course, and the threats also that you can, you know, that visionize by attending the course. If you do it until, you know, that the Saturday, the deadline is Saturday 18th of September to do task.
والله بدك احمد عبد الرحمن.
يا جماعة please mute all the mics. يعني the moderator or be sure to mute your mics while the doctor is talking. Okay? Okay, doctor, please continue.
Okay, yeah, please do it until the, you know, that the 18th of September, and you will do it by using the, you know, that the Google Forms. I already, you know, that determined it and share the link of the forms here and also the chat parts. Okay, let me to write it to chat. Yes. Yeah, here. And another, you know, that the task I am asking you, could you please all of you write your emails or, you know, as I shared my email you as a chat part. If you can mail me, you know, that with your personal emails, I can share all the documents which are, you know, that regard or resource text of the course.
ممكن
please send me
shall I translate the last part for them, doctor? Okay, الدكتور بيقول ان من خلال الرابط اللي حاطه في الشات دلوقتي هيستقبل اجاباتكم على ايه هو تحليل القوه والضعف والسوات اناليسيس بتاعكم للكورس وتطلعاتكم. بالاضافه لكده هيرحب انكم ترسلوا له رساله ايميل الكتروني على الايميل بتاعه عشان يرد عليكم بكل الدوكيومنتيشن المتاحه اللي تحبوا تستقبلوها الخاصه بالكورس والسلايدز. اوكي continue دكتور.
Okay, thank you Ahmet Selim. Yeah, the task is this what I am asking you for the first week, and now maybe we can have a, you know, that 10 minutes break. It's 5 o'clock already, then continue.
الدكتور بيقول ان احنا ممكن نحصل على بريك لمده 5 أو 10 دقائق وبعدين continue. So we starting the break right now or when, doctor?
5:10 is okay.
Okay, we started right now. The break is right now.
هو بيقول هنطلع بريك دلوقتي ونرجع 5 و10. 5:10 is okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. See you then 10 minutes later.
Okay. كمان 10 دقايق احنا هنطلع دلوقتي، هنقفل الزوم وهنبعت لحضراتكم رابط تاني عشان ندخل في الفقرة التانية وإن شاء الله الفقرة الجاية هنحاول نترجم أكتر شوية. Thank you Mr. Adam. Meet you يعني after 10 minutes.
Okay, see you 10 minutes later.
See you. We'll close the Zoom and open a new one because I have some problem in this Zoom meeting.
We do not need to, you know, that sign out to Zoom. Just I go off my, you know, that
camera and
microphone and video.
طيب تمام. Okay, we will not close the Zoom meeting. We will continue. إن شاء الله مش هنقفل الزوم وهنكمل على نفس الرابط.
about where does the word news come from in English? Do you know it?
حد عارف كلمة نيوز جت منين؟ كلمة الأخبار يعني بالإنجليزي جت منين؟
Somebody knows it?
حد عارف؟
هي اختصار لعدة كلمات باللغة الإنجليزية من كلمة نيوز على ما أعتقد، يعني هي الجديد، يعني الأخبار الجديدة أو الأخبار الكذا، هي اختصار بالنهاية.
No, it's like a shortcut of some words, and he said that it's like the new things, and it's the plural of the new things become news.
Okay, yeah, he's right. Actually, you know that the word comes from the news is, you know, that the abbreviation of the four main directions. Actually, the first letters of the four main directions in English, north, east, west, and south. So if we, you know, that try to define a definition of the news by using, you know, that this knowledge, we can shortly define the news as the, you know, that the things coming from, or the information coming from all directions. So actually the word itself, you know, that reminds us the information coming from around.
نعم.
And
هو هنا translation هنا بس هو بيقول لحضراتكم النيوز جاية من الاتجاهات نورث ايست ويست ساوث، وهي بتخلينا نتخيل ان هي ان الاخبار هي مجموعة المعلومات اللي بيجي من جميع الاتجاهات. You can continue, Doctor.
Okay, and the second is academically or as a professional, you know, that instead of the, you know, that the etymological definition of the news, how can we define it, define the news? Can anyone define it as a, you know, that the professional journalist, what news is?
Okay. You said that news coming from north, east, west, yeah?
Information comes around, or information comes from the, you know, that all directions.
I thought it comes from new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, thank you, Ella.
Elanud.
Elanud, okay, yeah. The right pronunciation is Elanud.
Yes.
Somebody else would like to define what news is?
حد يقدر يعرف لنا يعني ايه نيوز بشكل اكاديمي؟ هو الشكل الاولاني ده هو مجموعه من الاختصارات اللي ممكن لها مدلول، مش التعريف. حد يقدر يعرف لنا كلمه الاخبار او النيوز؟
Maybe I can try. I think I can guess it's the events what happened recently and it matters for people. Maybe it's
yeah, a good definition. Okay, somebody else. Thank you. Abdulhamid?
Maybe we can say it's kind of professional article that's written and describe daily events.
Yeah, it can be one of the definition as well. Somebody else would like to define it? Okay, thank you. I think, okay, yeah. I have written here some definition of news from different, you know, that the books about the news. One of the definition is it is a report about the break from the normal flow of events. Another definition is it's a report of anything of interest to the large part of community has not been told before. The another definition is a clear and widened mass definition. News is what newspaper publish, radio broadcasters broadcast. In other words, it is what the public want to know. Also, another academic hooks definition is news is what people need or want to know, whatever interest, whatever add to their knowledge. We can, add more definitions of news actually in academy, in the journalism professors and many of the media professionals do or try to define news definition in their perspectives. So we can maybe, when we go internet and Google the word news, probably we will find millions of or billions definitions of news. That means actually, that when you find out, that not only a definition, one definition of a, that the concept, it means that it is not easy to define it in the other words. So we can, you and any of you or I can define the news from our perspectives. And on the other hand, but if we, define the news in our perspectives, then, in the news media or in print, audiovisual, or online media, each day or every day, we are receiving, that many news. So how journalists can, that determine I think is a news. In other words, what makes a story in that the society.
Can we go back to the
news value?
Can we go back to other slide just to make a brief for Arabic?
Okay. Sorry.
No problem. هو بيقول إن في مجموعة كبيرة جدا من التعريفات للأخبار. مثلا إن هي الحدث اللي بيكسر الفلو أو الحياة الطبيعية أو الأحداث الطبيعية، أو إن هو تقرير بيكتب فيه أي حاجة مهمة بتهم المجتمع وما اتقالتش قبل كده. بعض التعريفات بتقول ان هو النيوز اللي بتتكتب فيه نيوز بيبر، الجرايد او اللي بتتعمل على برودكاست او صوتيه، سواء مكتوبه او صوتيه او مقروءه او مسموعه وهكذا. هو بيقول ان كل حد اشتغل في الصحافه يستطيع ان هو يضع تعريف مختلف عن التعريفات اللي هو ذكرها وتعريفات اخرى. بيقول ان احنا لو فتحنا الانترنت وبصينا هنلاقي فيه هو قال ممكن مليون تعريف للصحافة بأشكال متعددة يعني. وبعد كده بننتقل للسلايد اللي بعده، بيتكلم عن ايه اللي يخلي الستوري او القصة اللي موجودة ديت جزء من الأخبار. اوكي دكتور. تمام.
بتشيل وكالة ولا؟
يس مستر علي.
وكالة.
أي دكتور علي سامعين حضرتك.
So, as I told it you a few minutes ago, that as that the audience we are reading, that in print media, in broadcast media or online media, hear or read many news which are reported by the journalists or reporters. So But on the other hand, as a, that journalist or a reporter, how you decide a story is a news or has a news value, or what makes a story news? What are the, that the values of the or news value? You have an idea about it?
هو بيسأل
How can you design the story happening in the day or in a society? You decide it is a news.
هو بيقول ان طبعا بتمر قصص كتير جدا او احداث كتير جدا، ازاي تستطيع تقيم ان الحدث ده يرتقي ان يكون خبر في الاخبار. فهو بيسأل حضراتكم حد عنده مداخلة؟ اتفضل.
تقييم الصحفي لأي قصة بأن تكون خبر يجب أن يعتمد على عدة أساسيات، أهمها أن يكون هذا الخبر يعني يؤثر في المجتمع، أو يعني يؤثر بشكل أو بآخر في المجتمع أو في الجهة أو في الجمهور المستهدف، أن تكون القصة أيضا يعني لها أبعاد وخلفيات في يعني تعتمد على هذه الوسيلة الإعلامية التي يمكن أن توصل الصوت. طبعا يجب أن يكون يعني له أهمية، له أثر، يترك أثر. الكثير من الأمور التي يقيم فيها الصحفي القصة لتكون خبرا يتم تداوله على وسائل الإعلام المرئية والمكتوبة أو المسموعة.
He said that we have a lot of factors we can depend on to measure the value of the news of the story to be a news, like if it affect the community or has like importance in the audience or targeting audience of this news paper, or انت قلت ايه تاني معلش؟ انت قلت ان هي تأثر على الجمهور المستهدف، صح؟ وقلت ان هي تحدث فرق وان لها أهمية، صحيح؟
أنا راح
قلت برضو ان يكون لها خلفية، صح؟
اي اكيد يكون لها اثر، تترك اثر يعني، ويكون لها ابعاد.
قلناها له. نعم.
يعني اي خبر ليس له قيمه لا يتم تناوله ولا يقيمه.
ما هو هنا بيسأل ازاي يقيس القيمة.
لا يتناولها الصحفي كخبر.
نعم. He said that it must be a valuable story to put it as news. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Abdulhamid. So let me first to define what the news values is. News values are criteria that influence that the selection and presentation of events as published news. These values that help us explain what makes something newsworthy. So that at the especially that in 1970s we had some factors that we have some determined factors that makes an event that worthy to make news. These factors were that until 1970s, these are the fundamental that the factors: impact, timeliness, prominence, proximity, bizarreness, unusual, conflict, and accuracy. So these that the factors are still valued or are that using to make or to define an event to be a news. On the other hand, we had in 1970s two academicians. One of them is Johan Galtung, a Norwegian socialist, and his colleague defined new that the values to make an event news. So let's see the also did them today. Let's first that to see what we mean impact. as the, that one of the, that the basic values or basic value to make an event news is what we mean in practice, how many people an event or idea affects and how seriously it affects them determine its importance as news. The most important news reports are those that either affect a large number of people or which a large number of people want to know about it. What I try to say it is, that to make actually the events that affects people's lives, ideas, many people, ideas or their lives. It has a news. It has a news warfare. Like that when a disaster or that an earthquake happens or a flood happens, as you remember that we had that, for example, that the forest fires in August and in last days of the July at Mediterranean coast of Turkey, and it affects that the people's lives. And also, that is why they became, that they became in the agenda of the media and had a news worthy. On the other hand, that in a natural disaster or a earthquake, many people can can be affected, like some maybe that die, some may die or some may be injured. That is why it has that is why that the journalists make news about it. Or that a bomb attack can be a news as well, because of it attacks the the lives of people, many lives. The second, that the value or the factor.
Can we translate the first?
Okay, please.
هو قال العوامل او حط اللي هي زي الانفوجراف اللي هو بيقول العوامل اللي بتأثر على قيمة الخبر، وشرح أول حاجة منهم اللي هي الإمباكت أو التأثير، وقال إن كل ما التأثير زاد على عدد أكبر من الناس كل ما كان الخبر ذو أولوية أكبر. بيأثر عليهم في إيه؟ بيأثر في أفكارهم، بيأثر في حياتهم المعيشية، أو حتى التأثير على عدد كبير من الناس. حتى يعني هو ضرب مثال مثلا في الزلازل أو الأحداث الطبيعية الكبيرة، لو جرح واحد غير لو جرح 15 غير لو قتل وجرح عدد كبير، كل ده بيخلي قيمة الخبر تعلى، اللي هو تأثيره على حياة الناس العامة وتأثيره في عدد كبير جدا من الأشخاص في وقت واحد. تمام يا شباب؟
Okay, thank you. The second factor is the timeliness. As you know that actually in print media, we prepare a newspaper for tomorrow. But what we publish for tomorrow's newspaper is today's news. On broadcast media, we publish, that we broadcast the news, today's news in today. But in online media, we publish news now. So that the time is so important, and the people would like to know what happens as possible as suddenly. That is why the journalist is competing with time to report the news. And if you know that as a journalist, if you are not punctual to report an event, that means you are losing the or you are missing the public agenda you are back of the public agenda, and when you report an event which has a newsworthy, after that not on the valid time, after a while, which is not on the agenda of the public anymore, nobody will read or watch or that to see your news.
هو هنا بيتكلم على التايم لاين او اللي كان بيقول عليها الاستاذ اسماعيل في الكورس الحداثه، ان الناس بتحب تعرف الخبر في وقت حدوثه مش بعديه بفتره طويله. يعني هو بيقول ان احنا الحدث اللي حصل النهارده لازم الناس تعرفه باسرع وقت ممكن، وضرب بس مجموعه من الامثله على ذلك. يعني ان هو يكون التايم لاين بتاع الاحداث محدثه اولا باول.
مستر احمد.
نعم اتفضلي يا استاذ.
حضرتك هو بيقول يعني الجورنالست competing with the time، هم بيتنافسوا.
Yes, you are right.
And they're يعني in my perspective I think they're competing even with other journalists.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Also, the other journalists are their competitors.
To publish the news, yeah.
Yeah, but the one most important thing here is while competing with the time, also you have to be, that the fast as you can. But on the other hand, the responsibility of the journalist is to, that inform the public right as well. So yes. Do not forget, that while competing with the time, do not forget to report the right and the facts.
هو هنا كان بيقول ان احنا الصحفي بيتحدى الزمن في ان هو ينشر بشكل سريع، والاستاذه قالت له، الاستاذه عنود قالت له ان مش بس بيتحدى الزمن ده، هو كمان بيتحدى بقيه وسائل الاعلام الاخرى في ان هو ينشر الحدث اسرع برضه.
يعني القصد هو الآنية والسبق الصحفي.
نعم نعم.
Okay, can I continue?
We can continue.
Okay, thanks. The third factor is the prominence. You know that it is believed that names do not always make news, but happenings that involve famous corporate organizations or institutions are likely to be interesting, even if not important. The news reports need not be related to the field in which an individual has attained status. A famous, that the star has always priority to be a part of a news story when you compare to, that an ordinary people. Actually, in news, we classified, that the people, two groups. One of the group is, that I can translate it to English, discourse elites, or the people who have priority to be a part of a news story. Who are these people? These people are the, that the politicians, political leaders, prime ministers, presidents, head of the interest groups, on celebrities, or that the famous sports players. These people are always have priority to be in news media. On the other hand, an ordinary, that people can be in news when they have a, that they have when they are a part of a, that an unexpected or unwanted events like disasters or to die in a traffic accident or a fire, something like that. So actually, I mean, so or the academics also doesn't have, you know, that the priority, or the academic, you know, that works doesn't have don't have a priority to be in a news story.
prominence اللي هي الشهرة. هو بيقول إن القصة ترتقي، أو في تقييم الخبر لو كانت بتمس أحد المشاهير أو وضرب أمثلة يعني زي لعيبة الكورة، زي الفنانين، زي السياسيين، الرؤساء. كل ما اقترب الخبر من الدايرة ديت أو من دايرة المشاهير، كل ما كان الحدث له أولوية وله بريوريتي أعلى يعني، وكل ما كانت القيمة بتاعته أعلى لأن هي بتدخل في اهتمام الناس.
Okay, thank you. The fourth factor is the proximity. Actually, you know that any event that concerns people direct or happens in their close area is a news for them. That is why, you know, that the people much more likely to be interested in news about their neighborhood or their city or their country and than the others.
proximity يعني مدى القرب والبعد. الإنسان بيحب يعرف اللي موجود في محيطه أو الأقرب ليه بشكل أكتر من إن هو يعرف الأبعد. بيبقى عايز يعرف اللي بيحصل عند جيرانه، الشارع بتاعه، أو على مستوى مدينته، أو على مستوى دولته، أكتر من الدول الأخرى أو الأماكن الأخرى. Okay.
For example, for Turkish, you know, that reporters, what happens in Syria, in Lebanon, or in Iraq, or in Afghanistan has much more proximity than what happens in Brazil or Australia.
فبيقول إن مثلا في تركيا اللي بيحصل في سوريا أو لبنان أو العراق، الدول اللي هي لها أو القريبة من تركيا أو لها حدود مع تركيا، بتكون لها أهمية كبيرة جدا عن اللي بيحصل مثلا في البرازيل، في أمريكا الجنوبية، أو في الإكوادور، أو في أي مكان بعيد عن المحيط القريب. Okay.
Okay, thank you. The fifth one is the bizarreness. What I mean is unusual. Actually, the most of the, you know, that the read news reports are those that are unexpected, which take people by surprise. For instance, news reports about snowing in Chennai or flooding in Thar Desert will always catch people's attention. For example, at the beginning of the August, maybe you remember it, it snowed in Brazil after 40 years. So it has been a news, you know, that all over the world media.
تمام. bizarreness اللي هي الغرابة، لما تحصل حاجة غريبة أو غير متوقعة unexpected دي بتكون قيمة عالية جدا للخبر لما تكون حاجة غريبة أو غير متوقعة. بيقول زي مثلا حصل في البرازيل تقريبا في أغسطس أو حاجة زي كده، نزل تلج بقاله 40 سنة ما نزلش، فده كان خبر غريب وكان له أولوية في الصحافة. أوكي مستر.
If you know that it snows in Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates, it is also a news, you know.
يس. هو بيقول لو مثلا في تلج نزل في السعودية أو الإمارات، فدي حاجة غريبة وهتتصدر الأخبار.
So, we know that the snowing is not a usual thing in Saudi Arabia or in United Arab Emirates or in Sahara Desert.
الأجواء هناك صحراوية والمفروض إن ده ما يحصلش، فلو حصلت دي تبقى حاجة غريبة جدا وتتصدر الأخبار.
أستاذ أحمد، في نقطة، في دائما استثناءات بموضوع البند السابق اللي تكلم فيه هو البعيد والقريب. يعني دائما على سبيل المثال تكلم هو أنه مثلا في تركيا على سبيل المثال أنه ممكن ناخذ نحن على الوضع في سوريا، الأخبار في سوريا، الأخبار في العراق، المناطق أو دول الجوار. لكن دائما أيضا نأخذ مثلا في أمريكا، تمام، أو حتى ممكن أن نأخذ خبر في البرازيل قبل خبر في سوريا، تمام. عندما يكون يتعلق في خاصة في الأخبار المحلية في الجالية مثلا التركية في البرازيل، تمام، أو بحدث يخص الجالية التركية في البرازيل، تمام. فهنا في حالات استثنائية دائما
ما ده
القريب والبعيد.
أيوة ده التأثير، دي عشان دايرة التأثير. طيب he speak about the proximity and speak about its we have some exceptions we can
of course he is right. I think I got it what he tries to muse. Yeah, in proximity, for example, we have some, you know, that the exceptions like for example, you know, that Washington or New York. Yeah, also what I mean, Washington is the, you know, the president of the United States or the prime minister of United Kingdom or the queen of United Kingdom or the president, the prime minister of Germany has always, you know, that priority to be news, because you know that the Germany, China, United States or United Kingdom has a, you know, that importance in world politics. They have importances in world politics. That is why they have priority to be a news.
And he speaks also about the Turkish people who lives in Brazil or who lives in other country. It can be far of Turkey, but anything happened to them, it's like important news for Turkish people also.
Okay, thank you. The sixth one is the conflict, and even that pits man against man has news value. Its value goes up if you are directly involved in the conflict. For example, the Indo-Pakistan war saw the whole nation unite behind the Indian soldiers. Or if it goes to 1980s, the war between Iran and the Iraq has also, you know, that the importance as a conflict to be news. Similarly, political and economical or social conflicts like, you know, that the bans, strikes, etc. Make news. But if, for example, you know, that the workers goes to strikes, it is it also it has a, you know, that the news worthy.
نعم، هو بيتكلم هنا عن النزاع، conflict، النزاع أو الصراع، وقال الصراع ده سواء كان صراع له علاقة بالجيوش أو زي مثلا الهند وباكستان، دول جوار وفي بينهم نزاعات سواء على أرض أو غيره، أو حتى النزاعات أو الصراعات الفكرية اللي بتكون موجودة داخل المجتمع عموما يعني. في أماكن الصراع دي دايما بتكون أو بتخلي للخبر قيمة كبرى، بتعلي قيمة الخبر. Okay.
Social conflicts in a society, or, you know, as maybe some of you know it, for example, there is a, you know, that rising debate about the COVID vaccines all over the world, and there was a, you know, that a demonstration in Istanbul yesterday. It's a, you know, that a social conflict, and that's why it has a news value.
نعم، هو بيتكلم عن الصراعات الاجتماعية، بس أنا ما سمعتوش قال إيه بالظبط. What's happened in Istanbul yesterday?
Some people were against of the, you know, that the vaccines demonstrated the COVID vaccines.
Vaccines.
Yeah, your COVID vaccine, you know, Sinovac, or, you know, that the Moderna, or especially they are against of the mRNA vaccines.
بيقصد الفاكسين التطعيم ان في ناس اتراك
كانوا ضد التطعيم. نعم. هو اتكلم برضو عن التظاهر عموما، وكان قال برضو حاجة عن تظاهر العمال بس أنا ما ترجمتهاش. قال برضو تظاهر العمال
ضد التطعيم.
هو قال انه في ناس اعترضت على التطعيم وطلعوا تظاهروا
وطلعوا عملوا تظاهر برضو.
ايوه
نعم.
تظاهر على التطعيم بينما هو لمصلحتهم يعني.
نعم. فده الكونفليكت، ده الصراع او النزاع وده اللي بيخلي
هو داخلي، هو يعني يقصد في الاخبار المحليه او الصراع
نعم.
الداخلي ما بين الشعب نفسه او ما بين الشعب مثلا وزاره الصحه التركيه يلي فرضت بطريقه غير مباشره انه ياخذوا الناس اللقاح، تمام،
وهم
التطعيم،
رافضين فحملوا تظاهر.
بينما صرحت علنا انه هو غير اجباري او غير مجبر، لكن ضمن اساسيات الحياه اليوميه صار مضطر المواطن التركي انه ياخذ اللقاح، وفي ناس ما عندها رغبه انه تاخذ التطعيم، فلهيك صار في تظاهره في اسطنبول وصار في مثل تصادم بهذا الراي يعني.
صحيح
الخبر.
صحيح. We all get the point.
Okay, good. And the next one is the currency. These there are, that the news reports that are not based on a single event, but show a pattern or reveal a concept that's shared by a large number of people. These issues may be related to subjects like healthcare, education, taxation, or transportation, or immigration politics.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is on the, that the world agenda, immigration especially. So to hold, that attention of the readers for some time before fading away. For example, the drinking of a milk, by a well-known name, Lord Ganesha, it's, that it has a newsworthy. Its report created mass frenzy, and almost every day you had this report pouring in. After some time, people forgot about it.
Yes. currency اللي هي العملة، وهو بيقول إن هي طبعا ده بتأثر على كل حاجة في حياة الناس، التعليم، الضرائب، حتى بيقول السياسات اللي بتتعلق بالهجرة، الحاجات الاقتصادية كلها، فبتكون مهمة جدا كنيوز فاليو.
For example, the increasing of, that unemployment in a country, or increasing of inflation, economical crisis are also, that have newsworthy.
نعم، هو بيتكلم عن المشكلات الاقتصادية عموما أو التغيرات الاقتصادية عموما، دي بتكون أحداث مهمة يجب رصدها كأخبار.
All these issues are, that directly affect the people's life. That is why they are news.
نعم، لأن هي طبعا بتأثر بشكل مباشر على حياة الناس، ولذلك هي تعتبر أخبار.
لذلك نجد يعني في كل، استاذ عفوا المقاطعه، نجد اليوم في كل وسائل الاعلام اللي كانت المكتوبه او المرئيه او المسموعه هنالك نشره اقتصاديه خاصه بالعملات المحليه والدوليه.
Yes. He said that now we see in all newspapers or the news sites, we found the economic part in the journal or on the website.
Oh yeah, because actually the economy is a big problem, not only in Turkey, but also it's a big problem in United States or in EU area. Actually, that the directors of the US Central Bank and the EU Central Bank, that shared their concerns about that the rising of inflation and the rising of the unemployment all over the world. Also, IMF and the World Bank has same, that the concerns. That's why we have much more, that the news about the economical issues in the news media.
هو بيأكد على كلامك في النقطة ديت، وبيقول طبعا إن الجزء الاقتصادي ده لأنه بيأثر على الناس والسياسات الاقتصادية سواء للبنك المركزي أو للدولة بتأثر على حياة الناس بشكل مباشر وكده. الجزء الأخير أنا مش فاكر هو قال إيه يعني، بس هو في هذا الإطار يعني، إن هو في الآخر هو محتاجين إن هم يتكلموا عنه بشكل متخصص وبشكل قوي، عشان كده موجود في كل المواقع وفي كل الجرائد.
And that there are many, that market research, that public opinion research institutions in Turkey, and they do market surveys almost each month
Who do
and
this service?
share the results of the surveys, and up to that these surveys, the main issue of the also people in Turkey is that the economy.
هما في مجموعة من السيرفيز أو الاستبيانات اللي اتعملت في الفترة اللي فاتت، وبتقول على في تركيا يعني، وبتقول إن الناس كلها بتقول إن المشكلة الأساسية عندهم هي المشكلة الاقتصادية. Okay.
Okay, thank you. The last, that the part of today's lecture is the Galtung and Rush news values. These are the, as I told you at the beginning of the hour, Norwegian sociologist Galtung and his colleague Rush, that determined new news values in their famous, that book on foreign politic news. So they believe that, that our perception of what constitutes an event is culturally determined and not a natural occurrence. But they also believe that it related to human culture and therefore should not vary too much globally. Their theory argues that the more an event accessed this criteria, the more likely it was to be reported on in a newspaper, although the individual factors are interrelated, not independent of one another.
أستاذ عمود كنت متابعة عشان أنا سرحت كده شوية.
It's okay?
I think we have to repeat because I didn't hear well this part.
Okay, that the Norwegian socialist Johan Galtung and his colleague Ruch published a book on foreign news, and in their books they argued that what makes an event, that the news, and to their theory, they developed a new criteria which is related to human and human culture to make an event news. So their theory argues that the more an event access these criteria, the criteria is that the human culture, human interest, the more likely it was to be reported in a newspaper.
Yes. هو بيقول إن دي دراسة عملها علماء نرويجيين حوالين يعني إيه أكتر الحاجات اللي ممكن تأثر على الأخبار فتجعلها أخبار ذات أولوية. فهو اتكلم إن في كرايتيريا أو معايير معينة بتعتمد عليها، منها الثقافة للمجتمع اللي أنت بتكتب له، وطريقة تفكيرهم، والحاجات اللي هم بيهتموا بيها. Okay, we can continue.
Okay, for example, in the Western world, that the people and we are obsessed with the celebrities, famous people, I mean, and their lifestyles. David Beckham splits with işte Spice, and on the same day, 5 children are killed in a minibus accident. The tabloids will carry the, David Beckham's story on the front page because as a society, we have decided that celebrity gossip is more interesting and newsworthy than the other story.
نعم. هو بيقول مثلا في سبيل المثال الغرب عندهم اهتمام كبير بالمشاهير والنجوم، ففي ده اللايف ستايل بتاعهم يعني، او دي طريقتهم في الحياة. فبيقول لك مثلا ديفيد بيكهام انفصل عن بوش سبايس، وفي نفس الوقت حصل خبر ان في 5 اطفال قتلوا في ميني باص اكسيدنت، حادثة ميني باص. بيقول ان الناس هتهتم اكتر بالقصة بتاعت ديفيد بيكهام ان هو انفصل عن صديقته او كده، اكتر من اهتمامهم ب5 اطفال توفوا في لان ده اللايف ستايل بتاعهم او طريقتهم في التفكير او الاهتمام بالسليبرتيز او المشاهير.
يعني الملخص هي أولوية اهتمام الجمهور المتلقي ما
نعم.
بين بلد وبلد آخر.
نعم على حسب ثقافتهم وعلى حسب اللايف ستايل بتاعهم. اوكي
Okay, thank you. So, to Galtung and Rouge's theory, there are 12, that the most significant news values. The first is frequency. Short-term events like murders are preferred over long-term developments like a famine.
نعم، هو بيقول إن في 12 حاجة ملحوظة في الأخبار تخليها يعني ذات قيمة، منها الفريكونسي يعني التكرار، سواء على الشورت تيرم يعني على مدى قصير يومي أو يومين، أو على الحاجات على المدى الطويل.
The second is that the threshold, the second news values of the Galtung and Rouge. It means basically the size of any event indicates its importance.
Again?
The threshold, the second, that the most significant news values of Galtung and Rouge is threshold. It means basically the size of an event indicates its importance.
حجم الخبر نفسه هو اللي بيحدد الأهمية بتاعته. حجم الخبر هو اللي بيحدد الأهمية بتاعته. Okay.
What we mean the size of an event is an event affects how many people live or how many people are affected or died, killed or injured in an event.
هو بيقول طبعا إن السايز ده بيتحدد عن طريق عدد الناس اللي تأثرت في هذا الحدث، زي مثلا كم حد توفي، كم حد أصيب وما إلى ذلك. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The third one is the unambiguity. That means events do not have to be simple, but they must be accessible to the public.
تمام. يقول كل ما كان الحدث مش بسيط، يعني ambiguity ديت يعني غامض أو غير غامض. كل ما كان الحدث واضح وبسيط. Again, if it's simple, it have a big
Events
value.
do not have to be simple, but they must be accessible to the public.
مش شرط ان هو يكون سهل، بس لازم يكون يعني سهل النشر، ان انت تنشره للعامة يعني.
Actually, that the media, when reported an event, it makes it simple.
Okay.
Okay, good. The fourth one is that the meaningfulness is divided into two categories after Galtung and Rouge's familiarity. Where the first one is the cultural proximity, in which the event agrees with the outlook of a specific culture, and the second is the relevance, where events will be reported and discussed if they seem to have an impact on the home culture, especially a threat.
نعم. meaningfulness قصد بيها ان هي يكون
It is divided in two categories. The first is the cultural proximity.
Okay. And the relevance.
Yes,
okay.
The second is the relevance.
هو بيتكلم هنا عن المغزى من الحدث، وهو بيقول ان المغزى دوت بيكون ليه شقين او منقسم لحاجتين. الحاجة الأولانية القرب الثقافي من الحدث بالنسبه للناس اللي احنا بنكلمهم او بنكتب لهم نيوز، او الريليفنس او يعني ان هم ذو علاقه بهم، يعني ان هم لهم علاقه بهذا الحدث. اوكي.
Okay, the fifth one is the consonance or correspondence, where the familiar is more like to be taught than the unfamiliar.
الكونسونانس اللي هو الانسجام او ان يكون
where the familiar is more like to be taught than the unfamiliar.
It's more likely to be thought than unfamiliar.
Yes.
Okay. طيب هو بيتكلم عن familiar يعني اللي بيقولوا عليها يعني الناس متسقة معه أو معتادة عليه، خلينا نقول معتادة عليه، بيكون أقرب للحاجة اللي الناس غير معتادة عليها.
The sixth one is the unexpectedness or surprise, where it is the rarity of an event which leads to its circulation in the public domain.
هو بيتكلم هنا عن الحاجات الغير متوقعة، وبيقول دي بتكون أو يعني بيقول عليها أو المفاجآت، اللي هي الحاجات اللي نادرا ما بتحدث أو اللي بتحدث على مدى طويل يعني.
An academician who contributed to the work of the that the Galting and the Rouge Dutton notes that the newness of the event is usually processed through a familiar context.
Again, sorry.
An academician Dutton who
academician in Gulf.
Yeah, his name is Dutton. Yeah, Dutton, who has contributed to the theory of Galting and Rouge, notes that the newness of the event is usually processed through a familiar context.
طيب هو بيقول إن في أكاديمي اسمه دوتن لاحظ إن الأخبار بتاعة الأحداث أو الأشياء الطبيعية اللي بتحصل مش بتكون هي الحاجة اللي بتعمل، يعني هو بيتكلم عن إن القيمة لازم تكون قيمة الخبر بتيجي أكتر من الحاجات الغير متوقعة، فالحاجات الطبيعية أو المتوقعة في النيوز ما بتهمش كتير من الناس.
The seventh, that the news values is the continuity. That means once a story achieves importance, will be continued to be covered for some time.
الستوري اللي بيكون اللي بتاخد جزء كبير من الأهمية بتاخد تغطية لمدة أطول، يعني الأمور اللي هي
like that the pandemic, that the process in the world it continues almost more than 2 years.
زي مثلا اللي حصل في موضوع كورونا الجائحة اللي حصل ان في تغطية دائمة ليها على مدى سنتين اهو، يعني ده حدث مهم وبالتالي التغطية بتاعته بتستمر شوية.
The eighth one is the composition. This feature, that provide a sense of balance, gloomy news with good news, foreign with domestic.
هو هنا بيتكلم ان في بالانس ما بين الجلومي نيوز اللي هي الاخبار الكئيبه، الاخبار السيئه، مع الاخبار الجيده والاخبار الغريبه مع المعتاد.
The ninth feature is the reference to elite nations. Events are more likely to be reported if they occur in the developed world. The threshold system would apply for developing countries' events to be reported. What they mean by this, probably some of you heard about, that the UNESCO's McBride report about, international news distribution, the unbalancing distribution of the international news by the international news agencies. And the report concluded that when it shared with the public in 1980, the international news agencies like Reuters, AFP, or AP prefers to report or tends to report much more news from the first world or developed world related to that the good things, and they tend to report much more that the bad or the sad news from the developing or less developed world.
You mean that there are difference of news in the developed countries, and
the news media is much more that prefer to report good news from the developed world, and most of the news are about the developed world.
The most of good news is about the developed countries.
Yes.
هو بيقول ان الاحداث اللي بتحصل عاده او التقارير اللي بتطلع دايما بتطلع بصورة إيجابية عن الدول المتقدمة أو اللي هو قال عليهم دول العالم الأول يعني.
An African country, or that a Middle East country can that it can be news in international news media when a coup happens or people die in a bomb attack or in a disaster.
In their countries?
Yeah, that an African country or that the Middle East country can be that in news of an international news media when people die in a disaster or
I get the point.
or a military coup happens.
Yes. هو بيقول إن الأخبار في العالم الثالث أو الشرق الأوسط أو في أفريقيا لا تتصدر الأخبار العالمية أو وكالات الأنباء العالمية إلا إذا كانت في مصيبة يعني، إلا إذا كان انقلاب حصل، زلزال موت عدد كبير جدا من الناس أو حاجة زي كده. إنما الأخبار الإيجابية دايما بتكون منشورة عن يعني اللي هو العالم المتقدم زي ما هو بيقول يعني.
The 10th values determined by Galting and Rouge is reference to elite persons. The famous, that the celebrities and the powerful people are in the society are more newsworthy than the ordinary people.
Yes. هو بيقول طبعا ان لو الخبر ده بيتعلق بناس مشاهير او نجوم ده بياخد قوة اكبر لو كان الخبر بيتكلم عن ناس عادية او مواطنين عاديين يعني.
11th one is the personalization. Events are seen as actions of people as individuals. For example, an institution may be personalized by reference to a prominent person within that organization. For instance, that in news, a country, a state, that they can be personalized by the president or prime ministers. An institution is personalized by the director or the that the head of the institution.
Yani you speak about if the institutions come from other from yani powerful man or some who has responsibility, it will be more effect.
Yeah, the institutions is not directly the that the subject of a news, but it is that it becomes the subject of a news by or through the head of the institution. It's personal. It is personalized.
Yes. أقول طبعا الخبر مثلا في معهد أو حاجة أو يعني مثلا لما الحاجة تيجي من الرئيس بيكون ليها أهمية أكبر بحسب الشخص اللي بيقول الحاجة يعني. Okay.
The last one is the negativity. Actually, the news media prefers bad news than the good news. When we, that deeply study the news media, we see much more bad news than for good news.
Yes. هو بيقول طبعا ان هنا السلبيه او الاخبار السلبيه بتكون افضل للصحافه او الاخبار التلفزيونيه لان دايما هي اللي بتعمل نوع من انواع الاهتمام عند الجمهور.
Why media prefers negativity to positivity is because when people that read the bad news, they feel like this. I am better than that situation.
نعم هو بيقول الأخبار بتحب الأخبار السلبية عن الأخبار الإيجابية لأن أحيانا كثيرة القراء لما بيقرأوا الأخبار الإيجابية بيشعر إن هو أفضل من غيره وده بيخلي الناس أو القراء أو المستمعين يتجهوا إن هم يقرأوا أو يسمعوا الأخبار السلبية أكثر من الأخبار الإيجابية.
Okay, yeah, that's all for this week. Yeah, here is the end of the, that this hour. And this week, we will continue with the principles of reporting next week. And please do not forget to do your task until Saturday. I will read all your tasks written by you. And is there a way to share my presentation with all you?
Okay, that's good.
Can I share the the presentation with you?
You can send it to me, and I will send them in WhatsApp group, and we can add you in this group actually.
Okay, is there a project group?
WhatsApp group.
Ahmed?
I'm with you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Then I will send you this week's presentation, and you can share with
I
all
will
people,
add you today in the group.
Okay, please do it.
Okay, no problem.
If you have any questions, I can reply.
Okay. حد عنده سؤال يا جماعة؟ هو بيقول هو فتح باب الأسئلة، يعني لو حد عنده سؤال هو هيجاوب. حد عنده سؤال؟
هو احنا كده بننهي يا مستر أحمد؟
النهارده
لا.
Thank you.
Mr.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your explanation, and thanks for Mr. Ahmed because he translated for us very well, and
yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, really. Thank you for him.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. See you next time, and
okay. See you next week then.
Okay.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Have a nice week.
For you too.
نراكم على خير إن شاء الله. أشكركم شكرا جزيلا.